My name is Jason Strait. I'm here today to talk to you about, within our data lifecycle optimization series, big data and predictive analytics. As I mentioned, my name is, let's see if this will actually progress. There we go. Go one more slide. There we go. My name is Jason Strait. If you have any questions throughout this, please type them into the chat window, and we'll get to as many of those at the end as we can. I'm hoping that we can get to if not all. I do have been working with SQL Server and big data topics for a number of years here now, and that's basically what we're going to talk about today. So what we're looking at here is big data and predictive analytics. And as much as I've been a DBA for most of my career, I actually started my career with predictive analytics. And this was about 15 years ago. I was working at a bank. We were working with an Access database trying to find merchant card vendors, so not people that had credit cards, but people that processed credit cards. We were looking at trying to find merchants that were trying to steal money from the bank. And basically what they would do is fraudulently run credit cards through their systems and then take the money and run. Now this is long before I knew anything about data warehousing, long before I really knew what a DBA was supposed to do. But what we were doing is we were taking SAS data models and the calculations and the weightings that would come through there and push that stuff together. And ever since I worked on that project, I've been waiting for the day where we could really start doing this again in SQL Server, where we didn't have to bring in a lot of PhDs and use tools like SAS that made it difficult to get in there, because licensing for SAS and that bar for entry is always a challenge for a lot of organizations because of costs. And so what we're going to talk today about is how the changes in the environments and the changes on what we can do with data today has really enabled us to really move forward and be able to bring analytics and big data into our data platforms. So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit today about our data lifecycle optimization. This webinar is a part of that series of webinars. It's a process that we use internally at Pragmatic Works. And then we're going to talk about what big data and predictive solutions are, how you can build some success around them, how you can approach an initiative, and then going through ensuring success and getting some help on the platform. And so let's just get started with talking about data lifecycle optimization. Data lifecycle optimization is a process that we use in Pragmatic Works that basically bridges the gap, the maturity or the gap in maturity between the different areas that you're going to want to use data in. Now, in most organizations, and many of them that I've interacted with in the past, a lot of times that systems are built over time. And sometimes you'll take shortcuts, you'll pull things together just to get it to work. And as time goes on, you get to a point where things are a bit of a mess. And this happens in data platforms, this happens in interstates all the time. We've got an interstate section that used to be called Spaghetti Junction that's near where I live. And at some point they decided, we need to fix this Spaghetti Junction. And at some point organizations start to look at that they need to change and fix how everything is pulled apart, all tangled up, and get it to a system where the data or the traffic can flow very well throughout the system. And that's basically what we look at when we're looking at data lifecycle optimization. It's things that people are all familiar with: architecture, availability, performance and optimization, enterprise BI, all those core basic steps that lead into getting to big data and being able to build predictive analytics on top of that. And that's what we do, there with it. And the basic idea behind big data and, behind the data lifecycle optimization is that ability to build upon the previous work that you've done. And so as you build it up, you get to a point where you can start to do stuff and do work with the data that you've been collecting and build some predictive analytics on top of that. And so when we talk about big data, what big data is, and I want to talk a little bit just about what big data is before we talk about some of the solutions, is it's not necessarily that it's a lot of data. It's basically the idea that you're getting data from lots of different sources today. And you need to be able to do stuff with that to be able to build some operational optimizations so that you can act on the data that you're getting. All of our machines, all of our websites are generating data. Our applications are constantly generating data. We've got data that's coming in all the time. And it's the idea of being able to respond to that data when and where you need to in order to provide some value from it. And it's also talking about how the culture within many organizations is shifting as people are going from getting to a point where they understand that one of the core currencies that you have within your organization is the data that you generate. You know, if you look at what websites like Amazon.com do, where they take the order that you place and then use it to further help other people in the future figure out, hey, if I buy X, maybe I might want to buy Y. That whole market basket analysis, all of those things we're capable of doing now because of what we're doing with the ability to pull out all the noise from the data that's coming through and do some analytics on top of that to predict what people are going to want to purchase. And when you look at it, what we've looked at and what we've done a lot in the last few years, or in the last 10-something years, is a lot of the focus has been on business intelligence. Business intelligence is a great starting point for building out larger analytics and actionable systems because it can take the data that you have, or in this case this big log that you have, and start pulling it apart. And the interesting thing about all of this is they're not necessarily the same, but they're really tied into each other. So big data is going to be the ability to pull all of that data together and distill some information out of it. And business intelligence is taking that information that you can maybe distill out of it and being able to then readdress the data that you're looking at. A really good example of this is a company that I was working for. What they were doing is they were sending out emails to all of their customers